Hello and welcome everyone to episode 45 of the GGG Podcast. I'm Paul and this is the special 2024 Gamescom edition. Oh my god, we have news, so much news that we can't even cram it into one show, Phil. Are you excited to talk about all these things that are happening?
Yeah, I watched the prep for Gamescom last night and I've been following a lot of the news stories about it. And I gotta say, for me, not that much game news, but it is very political. I watched the DNC again. I watched the DNC and not Gamescom. I do this every year. Every 4 years.
Phil, you gotta remember, see, Gamescom is in Germany. It's not in the United States.
Well, Tim Walz looks like Mario if he shaved.
How old Mario would actually be if he was the same age as when Mario originally came out.
Yes, yeah.
There he is. Got to get him a red hat. Uh-oh. But for real, are you excited about all the Gamescom news that is poured out of this conference so far?
Honestly, I am very excited, and I feel like today I got a lot of things that I expected and wanted, and I got a couple of informational bits, like release dates, that I wanted as well. So outside of that, I'm already riding high. From here on out, it's just gravy points for Gamescom.
For people who haven't already liked and subscribed to our YouTube channel, please go ahead and click that subscribe button or smash that like button. We really appreciate it. And if you're listening to our podcast over on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, we'd appreciate it over there as well. All right, so before we dive into all of the news that has come out of Gamescom Day 1, we are going to talk a little bit about this week's releases. We got two major releases this week. The biggest and the one that is already, although they are both technically out, but the one that most people are playing online right now is Black Myth WuKong, which you have been playing a little bit today, have you not, Phil?
Yeah, I played it a little bit last night when it launched. It took a long time to unpack that whole file, and I think it's because the entire nation of China is also playing it. I read something that like 95% of the egregious amount of people that are playing it are in China, or like 90%, wow. Which is interesting and very cool. Happy for them to have like their first huge game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have lots of thoughts about it. I think I'm not sure if it's a type of game for everyone, but much like when Nioh, or NIOH came out a few years ago.
Yeah.
It was a game that I was like, I don't know if this game is great, but it is exactly what I want right now. Mm-hmm. And the combat and like the sort of magic stuff within it, it's all really thrilling and interesting and like, not FromSoft, but they're doing their own thing. And on top of that, it is just such a beautiful game. I love like mythological settings, and they're kind of like just eating every little bit, every little like crumb on the table of cool mythological creature to show you, or like cool race of like rhino people. Enjoy. Mm-hmm. I fought a talking bear who shot fire at me. The game is really, really crazy in a way that I particularly enjoy. Right on. Yeah. Do you think you're going to pick that one up? Are you you're not much of a Souls-ish guy, are you?
I am not, but from everything that I've been seeing online, reviews, like I watched the Before You Buy video for this one, everyone's been saying it's more of just a straight-up action game with a skill tree progression and whatnot than it is like a Souls-like. Like there's still camps that you rest at and whatnot, but it's not at the level of difficulty that a Souls-like game usually is. And so, that kind of like tells me that it's in the realm of like Jedi Survivor-ish, maybe a little harder than Jedi Survivor. And so I think I say what?
I would say that.
Yeah. So I think I will play this game, but this is going to be probably a holiday game for me when I probably have some more downtime, because this is not a game that I want to pay full price for, just because there's a lot of other stuff that's coming out. It's going to pull my focus, and like I want that like holiday break where I just got like a week of nothing. I'm like, all right, I'm going to play this really wacky game that I bought myself for Christmas or something. So So yeah, but over 2 million people on Steam playing Black Myth Wukong today. That was reported by Jeff Keighley at Gamescom. So just congratulating Black Myth Wukong on the huge numbers. I think it's great that it's a Chinese studio making a Chinese game, and it looks really, really unique as opposed to just another like regurgitated amalgam of something. So yeah. So yeah. But yeah, probably not going to get it soon. But all right, and then pressing on to Concord, our other release. We've talked a lot about Concord on this podcast. It comes out today. Technically, if you bought the digital deluxe edition, you get access to the game today. That's August 20th, the day that we are recording this. And the full game for everybody else comes out on August 23rd, which is this Friday. So very exciting. About just very, very exciting. We got big games coming out. I'm so pumped.
Yeah.
I have pre-ordered Concord, so I'm going to be playing that. So I can report on Concord. You can continue reporting on Black Myth.
Hell yeah. You know, we're back in the time of big games releasing. The summer lull is over. The sort of like, I feel like the COVID slump really didn't hit until this year. Because that was when I feel like a lot of games that would have been released in 2024, like in 2020 is when they were in a key part of production. So a lot of big things coming our way soon, which kind of feeds right into talking about Gamescom. Let's talk about all these new announcements that are popping off.
Yes, let's. All right, well, the first announcement, and it was a big announcement, although I didn't really care that much, but Borderlands 4 was announced this morning. So we got a nice little cinematic reveal trailer for Borderlands 4. This is, probably not what the Borderlands 4 team was hoping for, with the complete lack of any success with the Borderlands movie, as we discussed on last week's podcast. Also, a little bit of news about the Borderlands movie. Apparently, it's done so badly that it's going to be hitting streaming services in 10 days.
Nice. I'll watch it then.
Yeah. I think that's the idea, is like people are like, well, maybe they'll watch it if they don't have to pay for a ticket and we can just make money that way. But yeah, that is definitely what's going on. So anyway, I don't know how I feel about Borderlands 4. I think that like Borderlands 3 was a little bit of a letdown from Borderlands 2, and I think it was that way for me because we waited so long for Borderlands 3 to come out, and now Borderlands 3 and Borderlands 4 pretty quick turnaround here. We got Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, which was a success, but I don't really know what to expect from a Borderlands 4. Do you have any expectations or thoughts of what they could do differently in the fourth version of this game? Not to even mention all the spin-offs.
Yeah, I think that like they teased at the end of the first game that there was vaults on like a chunk of different planets, and all these sort of like hidden majestic things. So I would love to see a game where you're going to different like it's Borderlands, but then with like an apostrophe or like a brackets and then S, so Borderlands is. Okay. So you just go to different planets and you like, you go to one where like the gun manufacturers are, it's all futuristic and you're fighting stuff there. Like something that has a little bit more just more variety. Like they have to take the scope of Borderlands, which is always stayed pretty contained, and go like whoosh and take it out to the next level. I think that this announcement was absolutely terrible, though.
Wow.
If they wanted to, I think they're doing this as a reaction to Borderlands movie not doing well, and just like who I can't remember the lead over there said, "Don't worry, we have something that we're cooking for you," spelt FOUR.
Yeah.
Really, really kind of desperate and try hard seeming. Like we got to show them that there's a new Borderlands thing. If I was them, I would have waited till E3 Summer Games Week of next year and shown off like a chunk of gameplay, something to help you forget about what just happened with Borderlands.
Sure.
Because I feel like right now they are just in this deficit, and this trailer did not do enough to claw themselves out of it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, yeah, I guess the call was really like, well, we are trending just negatively. So, do we want to take advantage of our trending numbers, even if they're negative trending numbers? And I guess that was the decision to do that, which is a little disappointing because I agree. Like, if they would have done it next year, there would have been some good separation between the movie and the game, and I probably would have had a more positive reaction to hearing it. But all these decisions were probably
showed us
ages ago,
months ago.
Yeah.
Well, that, and if they showed us something that wasn't like just a couple seconds of pre-rendered footage that was very nondescript.
It's like, great, we have no information other than you're working on it, which you kind of already told us.
Well, everything in the first like 45 seconds of the trailer, right, has no indication it's a Borderlands thing, and then he just turns around the mask and they're like, it's Borderlands, and we're like, oh, great.
All right.
But I don't want to dump on them for too long. What's our next?
We got so much stuff to rattle off. We got a lot of news to get through. So some stuff we're gonna kind of dive into. Some stuff we're just gonna say what it is, and we're gonna move on. So right after Borderlands, we got a new look at the brand smacking new Call of Duty, which, as all of our listeners know, Phil and I are huge fans of Call of Duty. Just kidding. But I do have to say that the single-player trailer for this game actually looked really good. And I know that it's, a very linear structure and everything like that. But it did give me this feeling of like watching Call of Duty trailers, back in the 2010s. Where it was really immersive and you were in all these very like hyper realistic action sequences, and so I just thought it looked really cool, and the presentation and the graphics were also really good. So as much as I love to dump on Call of Duty, I will acknowledge that they had a good showing for their single player for this future Black Ops game that's coming out. So I'm mildly excited to see a little bit more of it. Am I going to buy it? Probably not. But there it is.
Hey, I would love to see a Call of Duty game where the single player is their main focus and the multiplayer is an ancillary focus. I know we'll never see that again, but if we can get anywhere close to that, I will be a very happy young man.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not an old man, a young man.
No. I'll be young again, because that's the only way it's going to happen. Time travel. So Goat Simulator Remastered showed off their trailer. I thought that their trailer was hilarious.
It was a fun trailer. Yeah. Definitely.
They know how to do satire better than almost anyone else in the games industry, I feel like, right now.
Yeah.
So
if you haven't seen the Goat Simulator Remastered trailer, go check it out. Similarly to Borderlands, it's like you're watching it and you're like, what is this trailer for? I don't understand what's going on. They're making fun of other video games. It just seems like they've loaded a bunch of content into this game. So if you're a fan of Goat Simulator, you're going to love this. But yeah, probably not something I'm going to check out personally. But, maybe some Twitch streamers have some fun stuff to do with that. So,
oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right. What else is on the list? Dying Light, the Beast. This is an extension to the Dying Light franchise. I don't believe that it's a standalone game, although it was a little... is it?
I think it is. I think it's a standalone sort of like... so it is a standalone game that if you got the Dying Light Gold or Dying Light 2 Gold Edition, is in place of the second DLC pack. But if you don't have that, you could just buy the game by itself.
Okay.
Because it is a sequel to the first game, in effect that it's actually following the main character from the first game after the end of it. Which, spoilers for that game, that main character gets infected with a special version of the virus where by day he's a human, by night he's like a hunter zombie. And that's... Yeah, and that's where
the beast.
That's the beast.
Okay.
So, Dying Light's always get so much support for years and years after it's come out. Like, they're always doing new stuff. So, I like what they're doing, even if I don't, care about Dying Light that much. like when the games come out, I always play the new one for a little while, and I'm like, damn, this parkour's fun. Damn, this looting is fun.
I mean, they probably got the best parkour system in gaming right now, honestly. So yeah, I'm definitely interested. It definitely seemed like a smaller game, probably not a full price release here. I believe they mentioned that it would be about 20 hours long, single player. But for fans of Dying Light, right up your alley. Very exciting. There was actually quite a number of zombie type things at Gamescom this year, so I'm surprised that zombies are trending back up, because I think a couple of years ago we got a zombie stimulation overload.
Oh yeah.
All right. Next up on the list, we have several announcements. The King of Meat has been announced. It's a party game, cooperative party game, but it's kind of like Fall Guys or Party Animals, maybe a little bit of Mario Party, but it just seems to be like, oh, you can fight and battle and, solve puzzles, do certain, platforming elements. So this is a party game. I would say it's probably geared at a younger audience, not super young, but maybe like a preteen age level gamers out there might be interested in this. So it looks fun, looks definitely like a very interesting take. It kind of reminded me of a game I used to play with a couple friends called Orcs Must Die, and Orcs Must Die 2. So that was kind of the vibe that I got from that. But Orcs Must Die is more of like a tower defense type of game, where this seemed a little bit more party oriented. So
what it really like struck up for me, there was an original Xbox party game, Fusion Frenzy. It doesn't look as like attempting to be pseudo realistic as Fusion Frenzy, but just that similar level of like teen, not angst, but I don't know, just like teen aesthetic, like young kids doing their thing. So it seems pretty fun.
Yeah. Next as well, another kind of younger audience game, Lynked, has been announced, and it is going into early access relatively soon, October 22nd. Lynked seemed like a top-down, like beat 'em up, but also has like some survival craft elements as well, where you can like make a town and you take care of it, but then you go out and you do adventure and level up. And it's also cooperative as well. The main little character seemed a little Mega Man-y to me. But yeah, not necessarily something to, up my alley, but seemed cool.
Yeah, it kind of looks to me like kind of Mega Man-y, kind of obviously some survival craft, but kind of looks a little bit like a Diablo for kids.
Okay, like, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, like just from like the camera angle and everything.
Yeah, the top-down beat 'em up-y stuff.
Yeah. So happy to see that they're kind of we're getting kids in on that type of game.
Yeah. Like I said, we're gonna just announce some of these.
Listen, I'm learning. I don't always got something to say, but sometimes just shrug my way through it.
Yeah, you can just shrug. That's fine. Here's another shruggable one. Lost Records has been announced. It looks very similar to Life is Strange, for Life is Strange fans out there. But I will say noticeably gotten a bit of a graphics update, which I feel like some of these story-driven games kind of need, especially when you're relying on like actors' performances and whatnot. You need more detailed faces to sell things. And I feel like sometimes with the Life is Strange games and other narrative games like that, because of how blocky the art style is, you don't really get those performances to aid in the storytelling, unfortunately. So I was happy to see that it got a graphical improvement. Looks like it's going to be an adventure of young women in a band. So that's very exciting and interesting take we haven't seen before. But yeah, that's all I got for Lost Records. Have you played any, or have you heard of Life is Strange, Phil? I'm sure you've heard of it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I've heard of it. I've never played a single one. Story games like that don't typically grab me. Happy that they're, because I feel like I always hear about Life is Strange. Like it's kind of a focal point for people who enjoy that type of game. So happy to see that they've got something new coming out, but also. I will probably never touch this game because I'm like, I need to hit something.
Yes, and I can't hit anything. Yes. So yeah, my girlfriend plays the Life is Strange games on and off. So she's into them. So I've seen them quite a number of times before. Sorry, I had to get up to watch German TV for Gamescom. But yeah, it seems cool. It's Life is Strange is usually always nominated in some category for the Game Awards at the end of the year, so I feel like I'm always hearing about it in that capacity. All right, something a little bit more action-oriented. Arc Raiders was not announced, but we got a first cinematic trailer of Arc Raiders, and I was a little unsure of what this game was. I was saying before we started recording that it seemed kind of like Half-Life-y, except substitute the aliens with robots have taken over. So that's the kind of vibe it presented to me, but they didn't actually show any gameplay. They also indicated that beta signups are live. So if you have heard of Arc Raiders and you are interested in signing up for that beta, type it into Google, get on over there and sign up for it. You've seen this game before, though, Phil. You mentioned.
Oh yeah. I've seen this one. Actually, I'm remembering now that I saw it on TikTok.
Okay.
Where someone posted it as like a, hey, you're playing Helldivers. Mm-hmm. This game is a lot like Helldivers, but it's got like an 80s retro futurist aesthetic, and you're fighting robots. And some of the gameplay I've seen is pretty cool. Like you can run up to a drone that's flying around and shoot with a grappling hook and like pull it to the ground. It is team based like that, so it's a lot of like I guess retro future sci-fi weaponry and all that stuff.
But cooperative mission based shooter is what we're looking at.
Yeah, cooperative mission based. I'm looking at some of the trailers or the trailer that was showed today. There's elements of like, hiding a little bit more. So it seems like it's going to be more mission based and occasionally stealth based than something like Helldivers. But I'm very into it. Like the whole look of the game is something very vast and different than what we're kind of used to. So I'm into it.
Right on. All right. So sort of an announcement, but sort of something that's been around for a while. So Predecessor is getting an official release, and if you don't know what Predecessor is, there was a kind of a failed Epic Games third-person MOBA called Paragon that came out, I want to say pre-pandemic, so probably around like 2018-ish. But I'm not exactly sure what year it came out, but I bought the game. I bought the cheapest version of Paragon and tried it out, and I just couldn't really get good at it, and I just struggled with how long. Again, like my thing with MOBAs, if it's an hour-long match, it's just it's too much for me. And so I fell off of it. But Predecessor has been people who've been working independently of Epic, just remaking Paragon, remaking characters, adding features, adding maps, and just basically re-engineering a lot of the game. And it has gotten so popular on Twitch that they are doing an official release of Predecessor, which is just revamped Paragon, which is crazy to me, especially because Epic seems like they are uninvolved. So I'm sure that legally they have, they have some sort of agreement that they came to, but Epic is not working on this revamp of this game that they abandoned. So very interesting to see. We don't usually see stuff like this in gaming very often, where you have an official release. It kind of feels like when a TV show gets dropped and another network picks it up or something like that. What do you think about this, Phil?
I think it's pretty cool that it exists, because I've seen predecessors around, and I like you, was one of the people who bought the cheapest version of Paragon that they could and played it. And I was like, this ain't for me. It's fun, but it just ain't for me. And seeing it, I'm like, wait, I recognize that guy who looks like he's made of rocks and who's wearing orange armor.
Right.
What? What? This seems illegal. But they've been going for a while, and now to see if they've at least got the support to like fully release and give people who want to play that game back. Again, not something that's for me, but really cool to see that that can happen in like a modern day gaming ecosystem.
100%. I think it's really cool. So I'm kind of curious again. Like, you know, as we just said, we didn't particularly like it, even though we were willing to put the money down for Paragon. But maybe they've revamped it. I don't know how it's in what capacity it's going to release, if it's like a free-to-play release and there's monetization just built in. So we'll see what happens with that. But definitely not something in this industry that you see every day. All right, next on the list, something I have been really excited about to talk about for a while is Dune Awakening. We finally got some extended gameplay that wasn't like very edited and stitched together all beautifully. Like, we actually saw what gameplay looks like. So did you catch any of the Dune Awakening gameplay, Phil?
Only a tiny bit.
Okay.
I saw sort of the penultimate or the bit at the end where it tells you something really cool you can do in the game, which I will wait for you to explain because you've seen the rest of it. So tell me more about this footage you saw.
So a lot of it was they showed like what happens in the beginning of the game. They showed a little bit of your character customization screen. And then they kind of talked about the structure of the game, where it's like, okay, this is the area where you start out and you can build a base, and you can build a base like most survival games with a group of people. And then there's certain parts of the planet that are like, those are like danger zones, where it's like that there's a war going on out there. So if you go in that area, other players and everything can attack you, kind of like in V Rising, where you have that player PvP. But they seem to have restricted that to certain areas, kind of like the Division a little bit. But those areas seem more prominent than they do in the Division, where it's like, this is a large section of land that we want clans and guilds to fight over, to get spice, to control power and whatnot. So they also showed us a lot of the base building that you can do. They showed us like you can take the blood of your enemies and convert that into water when you need to, which is kind of hardcore.
Metal is F.
We got some vehicle gameplay, like bikes and rovers, and we got the flying like dragonfly Atreides vehicle. And then we also got a little glimpse into, like, there are various houses that are going to be on Arrakis. Obviously, the Atreides and House Harkonnen are going to be there, but I hope some other houses make some appearances on Arrakis as well. I'd love to see House Ordos from Emperor Battle for Dune, a very old video game that I very much love, and some other houses from the Dune universe and lore there. And you can declare your loyalty. In the video, they showed you declaring your loyalty for House Harkonnen. So that's something you can pledge yourself to a certain house and whatnot. So it looks really good. Like, I'm trying to look for what's wrong with this game, but it looks really solid. And like, this is a day one purchase for me, probably a pre-order. So very excited about this.
Oh yeah, this looks pretty great based on like the bits that I saw. The thing that you can do at the end of it, that I saw, was summon a sandworm. If you are, I'm sure it's a very hard item to come by, whatever the circumstances are to make it work, because it seems like it just wipes out a battle. Mm-hmm. Oh, and that's pretty cool. The aesthetic of all the Dune stuff is really great, and I think I'm just relieved to see that this is a real game. Because you and I have talked about this before on the show, it seems like the type of thing where they're just showing really pre-rendered stuff,
right?
And footage that looks like it's some sort of cleaned up alpha test build. So hey, we might have another win coming our way.
Hopefully, hopefully. All right, this will be a quick one. So, Monster Hunter Wilds. I wish we had more news about this. They released another trailer for it. They just didn't really show that much of the game. We got to see the first, base or one of the bases that you're going to be at in the game, which looked really cool. And they also showed us some new monsters, and particularly one incredibly creepy looking giant spider that I'm really not excited to fight.
Okay, the spider looks so cool. Like the way it moves, completely different than anything in Monster Hunter World. Or Monster Hunter in the past.
Yes.
One of my favorite things about those games is how they really make all of the different monsters have different animations, different behaviors, and seeing them go from like mammalian and reptilian creatures to like an insect. Ooh, I am excited. I also can't wait to harvest that thing because it looked fluffy. So you can make some really cool, probably like furry armor, some like spider venom using swords and such. Oh man, that's great.
Yes. Yeah, all very creepy. I have so many friends who like Monster Hunter. I'm gonna play it, but I really would like their help, and maybe yours when dealing with giant spider, because that just weirds me out.
We'll get you through giant spider.
All right, so next on the list, so a game that's already kind of out, so it's in early access right now. So Mecha Break getting an official release. If you've been on TikTok or on YouTube, you've probably seen videos of Mecha Break or live streamers playing Mecha Break. This is a mech-based PvP and I believe some PvE elements. Game. It kind of looks like if Armored Core actually had PvP in it. Like obviously it's got Gundam elements as well, especially in its aesthetic. But yeah, a super fast mech competitive shooter. It's been doing very well on Twitch, and exciting that it's going to be getting an official release. So very, very cool.
Yeah, I always love. I love that mech games are coming back. We're getting them back. We had them in the early 2000s.
I'm all for
nothing
variety.
For 20 years.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Like, where were they? I don't know. All right, another thing that I am very excited about, but again, they didn't really show off that much. Civilization 7. It had been announced, but we had not seen any actual gameplay for Civilization 7, and so we actually got a gameplay trailer of Civ 7, and it looks good. The maps look better, more detailed, but just with all Civilization trailers, it's like, I don't know what you're actually adding to this game. It's it's 2K Civilization 2024. Like, I don't know. So, and to be honest, something that didn't make this list that we have is Anno had another trailer, which is another Civilization building game, and they honestly, when I saw that trailer, I was like, that looks a lot more detailed than Civilization. I don't know. I might jump ship here, because that looks like I could do a lot more things than Civilization allows me to do. So
Civilization has been pumping out quality for pretty much all of their games, but the differences between Civ 5 and 6, every time I play one or the other, I'm like, this could be the other game. I think they sort of rested on their laurels a little bit, so hopefully Anno can come up and shake things up for them,
Yeah, again, competition. Keep it going. All right. What is next? Oh my god, my favorite game ever. Starfield news, people.
Big alert, everyone.
Big alert.
Come on in, put
Todd,
your phones on silent
Todd, could you
mode.
come in here? Todd. Starfield announced that they finally did an update that they promised ages ago, and that is that they're adding the Rev 8 Rover for free, which it always should have been for free, so that's not a special announcement, Bethesda. And that is actually coming out today, so that is a nice announcement. I do like when Bethesda does that. Yeah, it's going to be coming out today. If it's not already out, it's going to be out later this evening. So that's great. And it looks like Vasco, who is one of the robot companions that you can get in the game, can ride in the back of your Rover. So that's kind of fun as well.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Do you think that makes this makes a difference in gameplay? Because I do remember one of the things that bummed me out the most in Starfield is just walking for hours on a planet and being like, "There's nothing out here."
Yes. I think it helps. I think, again, like Starfield is a lot better to play now than when it released, for a variety of different reasons. And this is just another thing that helps it be a little bit better. But again, like the difference between No Man's Sky and Starfield is like No Man's Sky, you want to run around and explore things. Starfield, it's like you're there to go to the point over there that you're supposed to go to. So, it'll make getting to that point faster, and maybe you'll have some fun along the way. Who knows?
Maybe you could do a donut. That's
a good time. I mean, hopefully what this will do is it will open it up for the rest of the modding community to add more vehicles into the game, because Bethesda sure as hell ain't going to do it. So also we got an official release date for Shattered Space, the DLC I got for getting the Super Edition. So that's going to be coming out on September 30th. So that's good. Yay! It's next month. Holy crap! Oh my goodness!
You waited for so long.
You've
gone back to the well so many times.
Yes. And I'm still thirsty, drinking the salt water. All right, you got this one. You got this next one. Let's go, Phil.
Oh, yeah. Hey, everybody, clear your calendars, because December 6th, we are getting Marvel Rivals launching free-to-play. All the characters will be free as the game is released and as they are released additionally. And they announced 2 new characters, Captain America and the Winter Soldier. Captain America was kind of the no-brainer ad.
Yeah.
But Winter Soldier, seeing his gameplay, seeing that they added him, looks pretty cool. Very different from Captain America, which in the comics and everywhere else, Bucky's kind of a clone of Captain America when he comes back to the Winter Soldier. Seeing this very different version where he's using his arm to like almost what you would consider like a symbiote-like way, like stretching out and grabbing people. Looks really, really cool. Paul, what did you think about this whole demonstration?
I mean, I think this is a great plan for Marvel Rivals. I think coming out in December is perfect. You're going to get all the younger audiences are going to be on holiday break. So that'll be perfect for that. Captain America, no-brainer. We already talked about it on the podcast. The game needs more tanks. Cap fits the tank role pretty well. And then Winter Soldier, I was a little concerned when I first started watching it because I was like, well, there's the Punisher's in the game, and he's like the rifle guy. And so, but then I noticed that it's more about Winter Soldier using his power arm, and he has, I think, a revolver or some sort of heavy pistol that he's using. And so it's like, okay, they're changing him up a little bit, and it seems like his arm, like you said with the symbiote, it kind of looks like Venom, like it's robot Venom, like kind of arming. And so I'm interested to see all of their abilities, but I think these are good additions. I think Cap is obviously a better addition than Winter Soldier, because like I don't know, I don't really care about Winter Soldier, to be honest. Like he's just not even in my top 20 Marvel characters, so he's whatever for me.
I think this was the right time to announce Winter Soldier, though, because you're also announcing Cap in the release date. So this is like, if you're going to kind of slip out a stinker, you want to do it when you have... And granted, he doesn't look like a stinker terribly. He's got some really cool moves, it seems like. One of which, he jumps off the map, pulls Venom to him, and then like uses his arm to pull himself back onto the map.
That was really cool. That was really cool, yeah.
But Captain America is such a great ad. I've been playing the new Fortnite expansion that has like Captain America Shield in it. Mm-hmm. And in that I've been using it to like, I've been throwing it out and it does the really good sound effect and like breaks stuff and comes back to me. It seems like in this, if you've got like a group of enemies standing in a certain area, you can make the shield hit one and then all of them. very into that.
Yeah.
I don't know. The way they've set up this game and like the variety of powers that they've added makes it so that kind of anything from the Marvel universe can fit in pretty well, like into that game's logic.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be a great live service game. The live service game that they actually wanted.
Yeah.
And then, you know what you were saying, the thing where it's like, oh, they have Captain America and a stinker. And I was like, oh, it kind of sounds like Samurai Jack and Beetlejuice.
Hey.
So, yeah.
I'm really... Just one quick thing about multiverses. They have one of the Animaniacs peeking his head out in like all the art of this new season. And I haven't seen him, and I am furious. Like, you need to give us Wacko something and Dot immediately. That's
all
it.
Right.
That's all.
That's next on the list is Wacko and Dot. All right. Okay. So this next announcement, I am honestly the most excited for than any of our other announcements that we have on this list today, and that is the announcement of a new video game anthology TV show on Amazon Prime called Secret Level. And this is from the people who did Love, Death, and Robots over on Netflix, which is a phenomenal series. It's not really a series, but I guess another
it's another anthology series.
It's another anthology, and they just did such a great job with that. I love so many of them. And for me, instead of seeing like video games being, you know, translated into live action, Borderlands, yeah, you know, like this is what I actually want. As a video game nerd, I want to see a God of War short movie, but it's rendered as a frickin' game where you can have the guy who plays Kratos be Kratos, you know, or so. And we got so many games are going to be in here. Mega Man is in here. Sony's clearly on board with God of War. Ghost of Tsushima is in there. Concord is in there. Sifu looks fantastic. It looks exactly like it does in the game, and it looks beautiful. And so this is coming out in December on Amazon Prime. I am so excited for it. This is the kind of media translation for video games that I like, where you're keeping it in the realm of what it already is, but you're just adding more story and narrative to it. And so I am so stoked about this. I am so excited. I'm going to watch it as soon as it comes out.
About it.
Yeah.
The fact that like you know, it's not stuck to any sort of, I feel like with a lot of video game movies and TV shows, you know, there are certain what's the right word? There are certain things that break the rule, but the rule tends to be like the timing doesn't typically work out because you either have to make it like fit within a 2.5 hour movie structure or like an 8-episode thing. This way it allows us to just see like little snippets of stories maybe that we didn't even get in the game, but just like little added bits of content for us, and really allows one of the things that games are so amazing at doing, which is showing their own visual style in something else and not trying to adapt it to the you know, realistic visual style or the live action visual style. So very into it. They learned the right lessons from Super Mario, I guess. Make it animated.
Yep. That was a great way of putting that, Phil. That was fantastic. I love that.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so next
that
up,
one was not a shrug one. That was not a shrug.
There was no shrugging. It was a... No. I don't know what this is. It's a bad dance move.
Oh, yeah.
It's a way to throw your shoulder out when you're over 30. All right, next on the list, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, also dubbed the medieval Grand Theft Auto game, is going to be coming out February 11th, 2025. So this is very exciting. I didn't expect this game to come out so soon. And I think that Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 really has a unique... I never played the first one, but it really has a unique flavor of just like, hey, this is... It kind of strikes me as in between The Witcher and Grand Theft Auto, where they're not afraid to be silly and to play into the fact that, like, if we're in the Middle Ages... Everyone's a dumbass, you know, and we're going to have fun with that. like, because it's true, people would be. So, you know, I'm glad we got a release date for this game. It's one that I don't know that I'm going to pick up necessarily, but I'm really curious about it. If it gets a good review, I'm buying it. So yeah. Have you?
I played a little bit of the original one.
Okay.
And what was so interesting, I actually did a lot of interviews with the team that was making that original game. And they were very interested with the first one on a lot of like very realistic stuff. Like you would lose charisma points if you didn't bathe for several days. Like your clothes would get muddied. There was so much thought put into it that I feel like they went really far there. And this one, it seems like they're making it a little bit more arcadey. But I think if they can, like you're saying, if they can make it more Grand Theft Auto-y and keep some of the, you know, like in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, if you ate too much fried chicken, you got fat. But if you use like your gun skills a lot, eventually you get 2 pistols. If they give us something akin to that in the Middle Ages, I will be so happy. It looks like they are kind of also leaning into some of the, like, you know, during the trailer you can walk through a bathhouse. It's very gory. Yeah, I think the first one maybe was a bit too intense for some people, so they decided, okay, let's make a silly one. Let's do a silly one for the boys, and hopefully this is that.
Right. But yeah, it's very interesting. Looks good. I'm excited for it. Moving on, though, we got some Arkham Shadow gameplay. This is the Batman game that's coming to VR platform. I think it might just be coming to Quest. I don't know. I have to look that up. But yes, Arkham Shadow is a VR Batman game. I'll be honest, I didn't like how this looked at all. I think that the movement looked very static. I think that there will be moments of, like, definitely if you want to feel like Batman, like hardcore Batman fans, definitely going to be into this. Where it's like, oh, I want to do detective mode, and you can actually, you know, flip on your detective mode, and you can see handprints, and you can look for clues, and, you know, be the world's best detective and everything like that. So I think that those elements are cool, but as far as like the movement and the combat, it's just, again, it feels restricted by the VR format to me. But then again, I'm not a big VR guy. Did you get to see any of the footage for this, Phil?
Yeah, the combat looks pretty... It's weird because it looks like they're trying to make the original Arkham game or something akin to it in full VR. And parts of it look cool, but also parts of it look like it would immediately make me want to vomit just from the movement. And I'm usually pretty good with VR stuff.
Sure.
So, yeah, I don't know. I think it's... What was that game that came out? It was an Arkham game for the PSVR originally.
Oh my god.
And it was like a teaser for a game, pretty much.
Yes. I don't remember what it was called.
It just seems like, okay, we have an idea there, let's do more of that. It is strange on the heels of Suicide Squad, which was like in the Arkhamverse. And I think like you're saying, the detective stuff could be really, really, really cool. But fighting like Batman in those games looks really, really crappy. Yes.
To me, it's like what you should have made was a Sherlock Holmes game where you don't have to do all this fighting and everything, but that's just not as exciting, is it? So
and maybe they could have made one set in the Robert Pattinson Batman verse. Like, I feel like WB would have a stronger case there to make something that's more detective-y than fighting, but Arkham is a known thing, so we got to use Arkham.
Yep, got to do the IPs. All right. Speaking of established IPs, Masters of Albion is coming out. That's right. Peter Molyneux took the stage at Gamescom and talked with Jeff about his new team of 20 people working on this new game that is based in the Fable universe, where it's a you know, you immediately called it out when you saw this, Phil. You called it Black and White, and which is kind of an old game. But what is Black and White for those listeners who've never played Black and White before?
So Black and White is an old Peter Molyneux game, and it is a god sim. In that game, though, you do have like a little cool familiar creature that like grows and whatever. But on top of that, you also have like your villagers will talk to you. They'll have little missions for you, and if they upset you, you could just grab them and skip them on the water like a rock, or slam them into the ground. That game also is pretty notable, much like Fable, for its good and evil systems. So it is the most Peter Molyneux thing,
Yes,
in sort of his normal grift to be like, I've made a new game, everyone, and it's a brand new thing, unlike anything I've ever done before. It's both Fable and Black and White together.
So it's two things you've done before slapped together.
Exactly.
It's a hot burger.
I would eat a hot burger, I'm going to be honest with you right now.
Me too, for real.
I also kind of want to play Masters of Albion because I do want to play Black and White again.
Yeah. Again, there's not really a lot of games in that genre out right now, so yeah.
There does seem to be an additional level of this game where you're also like creating heroes, and then like when challenges come up, they will go fight the battles for you. So that, I think in the trailer and some of the footage they've showed, is like a bunch of undead coming, and you send out a hero to stop them, and it goes in like a third person type of thing, so you can experience the little town you've created in a more grand scale. So into that. Again, like I said, as much as I think this is kind of a cheap move, I'm probably going to play it.
Yeah, this is a Game Pass game to me. That's what this screams. So yeah, definitely a subscribe to Game Pass, play this on Game Pass. All right, pressing right along, we got a Squid game called Squid Game Unleashed coming out. I'm surprised this didn't get done sooner, but also video game developers need time to make games. So, but the surprising thing for me is that it's a mobile game only, which I think is kind of a missed opportunity. Like, I feel like they should have gone for like the Fortnite level, where it's like you have it available on everything. Like, I don't need the graphics to look amazing. If you need to have it on Switch, like build it for Switch hardware. But I was a little disappointed it's just on mobile platforms, but I could see everybody into the Squid Game TV show and the reality TV show that came out, like downloading this game and trying it out. What do you think?
I think this is exactly that. I mean, Netflix has been trying to dip their fingers into the mobile gaming market and just gaming in general. But I know there's a lot of stuff where if you log in with your Netflix account on your phone, you can play all sorts of games. Some really good ones, some that are not so good. But this seems like Fall Guys for adults who watch Squid Games and don't play regular video games. And for that, pretty smart idea. It does seem a bit brutal that you're seeing like these cute little Bitmoji people in 3D getting like shot in the head and falling to the ground, but there's no blood. But and then there's one of the glass challenges, like where you walk across the thing and it falls. The little main character is falling and ragdolling and hitting things on the way down. Like, I don't think that's the funnest Squid Games for us. I think that was like the horror of Squid Games, but go off.
It was kind of a horror show, guys. Just remember that. So yeah, interesting. It might be coming. It's probably going to be on Netflix. I saw that there were a number of indie games. I believe Netflix actually has a booth at Gamescom this year, and there were a number of games that are coming to Netflix specifically. So mostly indie titles, and obviously things that are going to be able to run through the Netflix application, but still interesting. And we're seeing Amazon and Netflix get more into the game space, as we're seeing Microsoft step out of it. Up next is Indiana Jones.
Hey,
so
that's a segue right there, buddy.
Yes, it is. So Indiana Jones, we got a release date for it. Is going to be coming out December 9th. Again, just in time for the holiday season. Makes a lot of sense with this release window. We also got some behind, some BTS footage, behind the scenes footage of Troy Baker, who's going to be playing Indiana Jones in this game. I didn't really like the script that they gave him for it, because it was all about like, see, the reason we made this first person is because we want you to feel like you're Indiana Jones. And then the entire rest of the trailer is watching cutscenes of Indiana Jones in a movie format. Or if you're platforming, the camera moves to a third person angle, and it's just like, why are you just being like, well, the first person thing is amazing, and then you're constantly showing me the character, and it's like, why not just make the whole thing third person in the first place, which is one of the number one criticisms people have had about this game since it was originally announced. I think it's because Bethesda does not know how to do a third-person game. They just have not figured it out. It's true. It's like they can't do it. So
Todd's sitting there with his jacket on and his aviators, just staring at the screen. He's like, "Damn it! I can't get it.
I can't get the camera angle right. I don't know how to do this.
It looks like a stupid stick figure." Yeah, I do like the fact that they're like, "Hey, we want you to feel like Indiana Jones, but every 35 seconds, we're going to remind you that you're not, because Harrison Ford's a national treasure."
Yep.
And you ain't him, dog. I guess most notably, right? So this is coming out December 9th on Xbox and PC, and then coming to PS5 spring of 2025.
Yep.
That's, I feel like, the biggest news story about this Indiana Jones game. That's a Game Pass game, absolutely. But coming to PlayStation so soon, it does seem like Xbox is pulling their feet out of the console war and just being like, yo, we're just making games for everyone, dog.
Yeah, that's what they're doing. They're just, yeah, absolutely, that's what they're doing. Yeah, I didn't think it would be this quick. I figured maybe like a year later or something like that, but they probably don't want, I mean, they're going to make money regardless, but they probably don't want to lose complete PR, of like having to revamp. Now we got to really push ads for Indiana Jones all over again. So yeah, it's just more evidence to what we've been talking about for like half of this year, of Microsoft just kind of giving up. I mean, not giving up, but transitioning into their new game format, which is not selling a console.
Which is giving up.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
But again, I think it's also it's very exciting to see Microsoft kind of, I think we've all been telling Microsoft for a little while, like, listen, if you can't figure it out, just make games, because that seems like what you want to do.
That's true. Yeah. Very true. All right. Yeah, do you want to do this one?
A new path forward. But sometimes it's all about the family and the old country. We're talking Mafia, the old country, the next installment in the famous Mafia series of games, where you play as part of a crime syndicate. And that's all I know about the Mafia games.
Have you played any of the Mafia games?
I think I played the original one on my friend's PC years ago, and then I was like, oh, this is just like a meatball Grand Theft Auto.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I've played a number of the Mafia games. I really liked Mafia 2. I didn't really care for Mafia 3, to be honest. But I think if the Mafia series were to continue, this is the exact thing they need to do. Whereas they need to take it back to Italy, take us to the early, when mafias were first like formed, and they were called mafias because they've always kind of been around to some extent. But yeah, Mafia, the old country, definitely an interesting take. And I'm down with like old school vibes. I think it fits the Mafia form much better than like trying to force some modern Sopranos version of a Mafia game.
Yeah.
So, because like cell phones just ruin so much of writing. It's like, well, why didn't they call someone?
Romeo and Juliet could have been solved with a text.
Why didn't they look it up? Like they should have Googled it. They could have used the maps to get out of there. So yeah, I'm excited for it. I really like the storytelling in the Mafia games, but I feel like they were kind of losing steam. So I'm excited that they're taking this new switcheroo and doing Mafia the Old Country. I'm excited to see more of it when we actually get like gameplay footage.
I did play some Mafia 3, and while I didn't enjoy the game overall, I thought they did some really clever things. Like the the physics when you would shoot somebody were also like really, really good. And they had a really cool way of navigating you around the world, where street signs would that were in the world already would just show you like the turns you needed to make. So you kind of had to pay attention while you were driving. Really, really clever. I think the rest of the game underneath it was interesting. Fun fact about the Mafia games, though. I think it's it takes place in New Marais.
The third one?
The third one, yeah. So it's a Louisiana type, but in an alternate world. But that is exactly the place that you go to in Red Dead Redemption 2. I believe it's New Marais. Same name, same kind of layout, and some touchstone buildings. So they are kind of building that these two universes are one, which is silly and pointless.
I think in Red Dead Redemption, I think it's Saint Denis in Red Dead Redemption.
Is it Saint Denis? It might be that, or it might be in Grand Theft Auto that there is that is another place that is named.
It could be in Grand Theft Auto.
Could be. I'll have to look it up.
Yes,
but
we will look it up.
I remember hearing that and being like, oh, well, that's clever.
That's fun.
Good for you guys.
Yeah. It's the metaverse. Yes. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of our list. And there are several things that we still did not talk about. We are at an hour now. So we're probably going to have to wrap it up soon here for our Gamescom edition. Not only to mention that this is just the first day of Gamescom that we've been covering. So there's going to be lots of other news. So if you have free time and get on X or get on your favorite gaming websites or check more of our stuff out to see all the latest news coming out of Gamescom. Is there anything, for me, Secret Level was the most awesome announcement for me. Is there anything on this list, Phil, that stood out to you as your favorite thing that got announced or sneak peek or anything?
Listen, I'm always just happy to see more. Okay, it's 2 more Monster Hunter Wilds. I want just show me little bits of that game. I'll be very happy. But specifically, Marvel Rivals getting their announced release date makes me incredibly happy. That game is pretty much done, so they're just putting in extra work right now to make sure that it works perfectly. Just a quick reminder for all of those at home. We are nearing the release date of Star Wars Outlaws, which I believe is the 30th. That said, if you don't want to drop $60 to $100 to $120 on this game, just go to Ubisoft, get Ubisoft Plus. It's $18 a month, and you could get the game 3 days early. You get all the expanded stuff that's in it. Don't buy that game at full price.
Are there different tiers of Ubisoft Plus? Do you know?
There are 2. There's Ubisoft Classic, which gives you a bunch of games on PC. That's $8 a month. That's like all their classic games. And then $18 a month is their premium, that you play pretty much all their premium games from day one, or if they're doing an early release, from early release. So,
okay. So the $18 one then. All right. Very good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then remember to put a reminder in your phone to cancel Ubisoft Plus.
Immediately.
Yes.
Just do it at day 2.
Do it as soon as you click subscribe. All right. Well, we are going to wrap it up there. Thank you for listening to episode 45 of the GGG podcast. Excited.
I think that's got to be the title.
40 freaking 5. Maybe. But yeah, excited that we have games coming out. We have gaming news coming out. And we are finally on the track to the holiday season crazy release schedule. As Phil just mentioned, we got Star Wars coming out next week. Then after that, we're going to have Space Marine coming out. We got a bunch of new announcements for December. We got games in October coming out. Just a lot of stuff. So very exciting. Going to be lots to talk about over the next couple months. All right, Phil.
Games are back, baby.
Games are back,
Games
baby.
are back. We thought they were dead, but they're back. All those weeks when we had his stretch talking about Little Big Planet, no more.
No, that was genuine good conversation, I think. Yeah. For real. All right. Peace out, everybody. Have a good week.
Bye.